we are going to go over the rules of a quadratic equation. So if you've been given a quadratic equation, the general form of a quadratic equation is x squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So that is the general form of a quadratic equation that we've been given. So let's make sure that our x squared is in a coefficient of 1. So that will be x squared. We divide through by a plus b over a x plus c over a is going to be equal to 0. Okay. So we want to talk about the rules of a quadratic equation. Now assume you've been given that the rules of a quadratic equation are alpha and beta. If the roots of this quadratic equation are alpha and beta, how do we go about it? So if this equation has got roots alpha and beta, it means after solving our equation, what we found was our alpha and also our beta. That is the meaning of this one. Now what happens if you solve the quadratic? So what we solved the quadratic equation and it gave us alpha or x is equal to beta. So now if it is in that form, where did it come from? So this means it was x minus alpha x minus beta is equal to 0. So this is the form in which it was before we found those two values. Now let's cross multiply. We are going to get x squared, x times negative beta, that will be negative beta x, negative alpha times x, that will be negative alpha x, negative alpha times negative beta, that will be positive alpha beta, is equal to 0. We can factorize these two because they both contain an x. So what we are going to get is x squared minus alpha plus beta x plus alpha beta is equal to 0. So we can equate this equation to this equation because they are all the same. So what we are seeing is x squared has a coefficient of 1. Same with this one, it also has a coefficient of 1. And then if we go to this, our negative alpha plus beta should be equal to that one which was got also x, which is beta b over a, sorry. Now I want to remain with alpha plus beta. So our alpha plus beta will be negative b over a. And then if we go to our last part, our alpha beta is giving us c over a. So these are what we use when we are finding the roots of a quadratic equation. So alpha plus beta is equal to negative b over a. Then alpha times beta is always c over a. So let's look at some questions which can be given. So at times they can ask you to evaluate or find the quadratic equation that has got some certain roots. It's using the same knowledge. So remember, we reached out a certain part where we found that x squared was minus alpha plus beta x plus alpha beta was equal to 0 after we went back from what we are given. So this should be in our minds also. Alright, so if you've been given that an equation 3x squared minus 8x plus 2 is equal to 0 has got the roots alpha and also beta. Now they give us some certain questions. Now whatsoever the question that will be given, the first thing is you need to find the sum of the roots and also the product of the roots. So let's first find alpha plus beta. So we know that alpha plus beta is negative b over a. Now our negative b is negative, our b is negative 8. And then over our a is 3. So that is giving us 8 over 3. Again, we need to find our product alpha beta. Now we know that alpha beta from there is c over a. And our c is 2, our a is 3. So since we know the values of alpha plus beta and alpha times beta, warm and dry, now you can be asked to find, maybe they can say find the value of 1 over alpha squared plus 1 over beta squared. So if they say find the value of this, what you just do is make sure that you express them in the form where I've got alpha plus beta and also alpha times beta. So let's make this as a single fraction. So we are going to make this as a single fraction. We multiply the number which is on top of the first fraction by the number down the second fraction. So that will be 1. Okay, 1 times beta, that will be beta squared. And then we get the number on top of the second fraction, multiply by the number down the first fraction. That will be 1 times alpha squared, that will be alpha squared. And then we multiply the two numbers which are down the two fractions. That is alpha squared times beta squared. So that is alpha squared times also beta squared. So what we are getting is simply, we can also rewrite this. We can say this is alpha squared plus beta squared over alpha beta. We can put a squared outside because it's the same. Now how do we get something which is like this? So if you have got alpha plus beta, we need to factorize this portion which we have here. If you have got alpha plus beta squared, if you expand this one, it's going to give you alpha squared plus 2 alpha beta and then plus beta squared. So we only want to remain with alpha squared and beta squared. So what we are going to do is this will become alpha plus beta squared. We are going to take this part over the other side, so minus 2 alpha beta, and then it should leave us with alpha squared plus beta squared. So whenever we factorize alpha squared plus beta squared, we are supposed to get alpha plus beta squared minus 2 alpha beta, like that. And then we have down over alpha beta, which is also squared. So we know the value of our alpha plus beta because we found that alpha plus beta was 8 over 3. So that will be 8 over 3. And then we are squaring that. And then also we are subtracting 2 times. We know our alpha times beta. Alpha times beta here, we found that it was 2 over 3. So I'm multiplying that by 2 over 3. And then dividing by our alpha times beta. We know the value of alpha times beta. That is 2 over 3 squared. So now we can simplify this one which we have here. Okay. So what we are having is 8 over 3. We square that. And then minus 2 times 2 over 3. So what we should get on top there is, so on top it is giving me 52 over 9. So instead of writing over, let me just write divide by 2 over 3 squared. We know that 2 squared is 4 and then 3 squared is 9. So 52 over 9 divided by 4 over 9. This is the same as saying 52 over 9 times the 9 goes on top, the 4 comes down. Okay. As we can see, the 9 is going to cancel out. And 4 goes into 52 13 times. So our answer therefore is going to be 13. So that will be our value in that case if that question was given. Okay. Let's see if they give us another question to find the value using the same equation. What if they said find the value of, as part 2, find the value of alpha over beta plus beta over alpha. How do you do it? Let's make it a single fraction. Can multiply the alpha on top with the alpha down, that will be alpha squared. The beta on top with the beta down, it will be beta squared. And then we multiply now the two which are down, that will be alpha beta. Whatsoever way that you can use, as long as you found a single fraction, you can use it. So now we know that alpha squared plus beta squared is the same as alpha plus beta squared minus 2 alpha beta. And then down we have got alpha beta. So alpha plus beta, we found 8 over 3. And then we are saying squared. then minus 2 times alpha times beta, we found 2 over 3. Then that divided by alpha times beta, which we found as 2 over 3. So if we take 8 over 3 and then square that, and then we subtract 2 times 2 over 3, we should be able to get again 52 over 9. And then we are dividing by 2 over 3, which we can also write as 52 over 9 multiplied by 3 over 2. So 2 into 52 goes there 26 times. And then 3 into 9, it will go there 3 times. So this is 26 over 3, the value. Are we able to simplify that one further? It will give us a decimal. So that is a way we can simplify that one. So the same, we can be given another question on the same one if you've been given the roots. Okay. What if they say find the value of alpha power 3 plus beta power 3? In that case, how do we go about such a thing? So the first thing is we need to understand how to factorize alpha power 3 and beta power 3. So how do we factorize that one? So we need to get that alpha power 3 plus beta power 3. After you factorize it, it will give you alpha plus beta, and then open bracket alpha squared minus alpha beta plus beta squared. So that is what it gives us. Okay. So if we factorize this part, it is the same as this. I don't want to go into finding how to factorize like that, how we can get the values, but it would be better if you just knew how to factorize this one. Now we have alpha plus beta, and it's not cumbersome for us to know this one. We can just know it. We can bring the alpha squared and the beta squared at the same place. That will be alpha squared plus beta squared, and then we have got minus alpha beta, like that. So what we have is alpha plus beta. Now we know that our alpha squared plus beta squared is alpha plus beta squared minus 2 alpha beta, and then we have got also this part minus alpha beta. So that is what it is giving us. Okay. So what we can see here is we have got alpha plus beta, open brackets, alpha plus beta squared. Now these are two alike terms. We can simply add them. Negative 2 alpha beta minus alpha beta, that will give us negative 3 alpha beta. And then we can now start substituting in our values which we've been given. So what values are we given? So where there is alpha plus beta here, we know that our alpha plus beta is 8 over 3. So that will be 8 over 3 multiplied by, now in the brackets we have got another bracket, alpha plus beta is 8 over 3. We are squaring that, then minus 2 alpha beta. We found our alpha beta as 2 over 3, like that. Okay. Now let's evaluate. We can start with what is in the brackets. 8 over 3 squared, and then minus 2 times 2 over 3. That is giving me 52 over 9. And then we can now multiply that by 8 over 3. So the answer I'm getting is 416 over 27. So that will be the value in this case. Okay, that will be our value for that part. Now you can also be given something that is raised to the power 4. Let's use the same example to find alpha power 4 plus beta power 4. So if you are talking of to find the value of alpha power 4 plus beta power 4, how do you go about this one? So this is more like the difference of two squares. So all you get is your alpha squared plus beta squared, and then square this, and then subtract 2 times your alpha beta squared. So that is how you factorize on that one. Okay, so the factorization for this one is not really bad. What we can say is, let's just say we can divide this one. We can say it is alpha squared as 1, and then we square it like that, and then plus this we can say is beta squared squared. We know that squared squared would be the same, so this which I've written here is the same as that. Okay, so from there we can select this part which is inside the brackets. Let me use a, so that will be a squared plus c b squared. So factorizing this one, we know that it will give us a plus b squared minus 2ab. We already discovered that. So now let's substitute, because we said our a was meaning alpha squared. So now where there is a, we are going to put alpha squared. So that is going to give us alpha squared. Then where there is b, we are going to put our beta squared plus beta squared, and then everything is squared, minus 2. Where there is a, we put our alpha squared. Where there is b, we put our beta squared. So that is how we got this expression which is here. Now let's try to find now the value for that one. So but we know that alpha squared plus beta squared also can be factorized. So that can give us alpha plus beta squared minus 2 alpha beta, like that. So just that one which is inside will give you this one, and then everything we are squaring, and then minus 2 alpha beta squared. So this is going to give us, we know our alpha plus beta is 8/3. We square that, minus 2. We know our alpha beta as 2/3. And then we square everything, and then minus 2. Our alpha beta, we know that it is 2/3. We are also squaring that. Let's go on simplifying. We see the answer that we are going to find. Okay. So this should be able to give us, let's work with those which are first in the brackets. 8/3 squared minus 2 times 2/3. So that is giving me 52/9. Remember, I've just worked with the ones in the brackets, so that is squared, minus 2/3, that will give us 4/9 if we square them. Again, we have got a square there, and then so we can square 52/9 squared. So that is giving me 2704/81 minus 8/9. So you can subtract 2704/81 minus 8/9. So the value that I'm getting is 2632/81. So that will be our value of our x to the power 4, I mean beta, alpha to the power 4 and alpha to the power 4. So that will be it. So you can be asked to find the values, or you can simply be asked to find the equation of another quadratic equation. Okay, let's try to find out other examples which can be given on this part. So if they tell us that an equation 3x squared plus x plus 2 is equal to 0 has got roots alpha and beta. Now they say find an equation whose roots are 1 over alpha and 1 over beta. How do we go about this one? So the first thing, we need to find alpha plus beta and alpha times beta. So alpha plus beta, we know it is negative b over a. So in this case, our b is 1, so that will be negative 1 over our a is 3. And then alpha beta is going to be c over a, which is going to give us our c is 2, our a is 3. So we will find the value for alpha, and then we can come to our roots. So again, we need to find the product and the sum. Remember, these are the two roots we are given at the beginning. We found their sum, and we also found their product. Now the roots which you've been given, we also need to find their sum and also their product. So we are saying 1 over alpha, we find the sum plus 1 over beta. That is going to give us alpha plus beta over alpha beta. Now we know that alpha plus beta, the value we have found for alpha plus beta is negative 1 over 3. Now alpha beta, we have found 2 over 3. So this is the same as saying negative 1 over 3 divided by 2 over 3, which is the same as saying negative 1 over 3 multiplied by 3 over 2, okay, which gives us negative 1 over 2. So that is the sum of our roots. Let's go to the products. Now the roots we are talking about is 1 over alpha. We multiply it by 1 over beta. So that will give us 1 over alpha beta. So that will give us 1 over alpha beta. We found 2 over 3. So this is going to give us 3 over 2. So these are the two values for the product and the sum. So this is the product, and that's the sum. Now we can determine the equation. Now a quadratic equation should be in the form x squared minus alpha plus beta x plus alpha beta is equal to 0. So this is where we put our sum, our product is there. So this is x squared minus our sum. Our sum, we found negative 1 over 2 x plus our product, we found 3 over 2 should be equal to 0. So this is giving us x squared plus 1 over 2x plus 3 over 2 is equal to 0. We can multiply this equation through by 2 so that we remove the fraction. That would be 2x squared plus x plus 3 is equal to 0. So that would be our equation in that case. So we can be given another different form talking about roots of a quadratic equation. So let's say they'll give us a equation. They've given us an equation 2x squared plus 6x minus 3 is equal to 0. And then they say it has got roots alpha and beta. Now they tell us find the value of alpha plus beta and alpha beta. Okay. They want us to find the value of alpha plus beta and alpha beta. Now we know that alpha plus beta is negative b over a, which is negative. Our b in this case is 6, then our a is 2, so that will be negative 3. And then our alpha times beta, we know that it is c over a. Our c in this case is negative 3, our a is 2. Okay, like that. So we have found the values. Then the next question said find the value of 2 alpha power 3 plus 2 beta power 3. Now we can factorize this. That is going to give us 2 open bracket alpha power 3 plus beta power 3. So we can actually factorize a sum of 2 cubes. So that is going to give us 2. So alpha power 3 plus beta power 3, after factorizing, what we are going to get is alpha plus beta multiplied by alpha squared minus alpha beta plus beta squared. So like that. Again, now we go further. What we are going to get is 2 open brackets alpha plus beta. Now we have got alpha squared and beta squared. So those two, if you put them together and factorize, what we are going to get is alpha plus beta squared minus 2 alpha beta. And then we have got this part, which is a negative alpha beta, like that. Okay. So this is supposed to give us 2 open brackets alpha plus beta. And then we have got this portion here, which is alpha plus beta power 2 minus, that becomes 3 alpha beta. Now we can go on substituting our values. We know our alpha plus beta is negative 3. So that will be 2. Our alpha plus beta is negative 3. Our alpha plus beta still is negative 3, but squared, minus, okay, so minus our 3 alpha beta is negative 3 over 2, like that. So that is what we have. Now maybe something that we've just left out here is, if we can see where the brackets reached on this part, the bracket started from here up to that region. So even here we're going to have brackets from here up to the last region there. So even here we are going to have brackets from here up to last there. Okay. So if we work out, we are going to get 2 open brackets negative 3, and then we have got negative 3 squared, which is 9, minus 3 times negative 3 over 2. So what I'm getting inside there is giving 27 over 2. So multiply that by negative 3, and then also multiply by 2. So what I'm getting is 81 as my value. Alright, so that is how you can find the value. Let's look at another question we understand better. Okay, they've given us that let the equation let f of x be equal to 3x squared minus p minus 4x minus 2p plus 1. Now they say if alpha and beta are roots, okay, if alpha and beta are roots of f of x is equal to 0, find the equation whose roots are, find the equation whose roots are alpha plus 2 and beta plus 2. Okay, so that is the first question that you've been asked. Find the equation whose roots are alpha plus 2 and beta plus 2. Remember, the first thing that we need to find is alpha plus beta of the equation that we've been given, and we know that alpha plus beta is negative b over a. So that will be our b in this case. This is a, this is b, now that's our c. So our b, we have got negative, our b is all this region is negative p minus 4, and then over our a is 3, so that is giving us Negative by negative, it will cancel. We are going to remain with p minus 4 over 3. Then we find our alpha beta, which we know that it is c over a. Our c is negative 2p plus 1 over our a is 3. So like that. Okay, now we can come to our roots which we've been given. We've been given that an equation whose roots are alpha plus 2 and beta plus 2. We need to find the product of those roots and the sum of those roots. So the sum, we are talking of alpha plus 2 plus beta plus 2. So that is the same as saying alpha plus 2 plus beta plus 2, and that will give us alpha plus 2 plus, alpha plus beta, then plus 4. We've just added the 2's, and we know that alpha plus beta is giving us p minus 4 over 3, and then plus that 4 which is there. So we can make this as a single fraction. So the lowest common denominator we have is a 3. So 3 into 3 will be 1. 1 times p minus 4 gives p minus 4. 1 into 3 is a 3. 3 by 4 will give us 12. So that is going to give us p plus, should be plus 8. Okay. 12 minus 4. That is giving me 8. Okay. P plus 8 over 3. Sorry for that, just a moment. Okay. P plus 8 over 3. So that is our sum. We need to find our product for those two roots which you've been given. Okay. Just keep in mind that alpha plus beta is p minus 4 over 3. Then alpha beta is, we can simply multiply this. That will be negative 2p minus 1 over 3. I want to remove this part so that we write from there. So what we are going to have is, for our product, we are going to have alpha plus 2 multiplied by beta times plus 2. So that will give us alpha times beta, that will be alpha beta. Alpha times 2, that will be 2 alpha. 2 times beta, that will be 2 beta. Then 2 times 2, that will give us 4. So that will now give us, we can factorize these two parts. That will give us alpha beta plus 2 open brackets alpha plus beta plus 4. Now we know our alpha beta, which is negative 2p minus 1 divided by 3, and then plus 2. We know our alpha plus beta, which is p minus 4 over 3, and then plus 4. So this is going to give us negative 2p minus 1 over 3 minus 2 times 2p, that should be 2p. 2 times negative 4, that means negative 8 over 3, then plus 4. So if we merge these, they have got the same base. Okay, this is 4 here. Now I can write 4 as 12 over 3 so that they all be the same base. Hope we don't get confused. 12 over 3 is the same as 4. I haven't changed anything. So what we have is negative 2p minus 1 minus 2p minus 8 minus 12. Sorry, that will be plus 12. Then everything we are dividing by 3. Let me just write like this. Everything divided by 3. So what we can see is our 2p is going to cancel with our 2p. This is negative 8. Negative 8 plus, so we are remaining with negative 1. minus 8 plus 12. What we are going to find is the 3. And then we see that 3 is dividing by 3. So our answer is going to be equal to 1. Okay, that will be the product. Now the question is, find the equation whose roots are alpha plus beta and alpha times beta. Okay, so that our one there we found is the product, and then that other one, the p plus 8 over 3, is the sum. So we know that our general equation is supposed to be in the form x squared minus alpha plus beta x plus alpha beta, which is equal to 0. So this is x squared minus the sum, which we have found as p plus 8 over 3 x. And then our product, which we found as 1, should be equal to 0. Okay, so that will be the answer there, which we can also expand to give us x squared minus p minus 8 over 3 with an x outside there now, plus 1 is equal to 0. So this x is for both of these. So if we put in brackets, we can just put a plus there to keep them. Okay, we can remove the 3 down by multiplying everything by a 3. So that will be 3x squared minus p. Okay, let's say plus, and then let's just keep our minus outside, so that our p plus 8 will be there, x, then plus 3 is equal to 0. So if that was confusing, just from this stage where we are at, before even going further, perhaps we might make things confusing. Just as this stage, we can multiply everything by 3, so that we remove that fraction down, so that will be 3x squared minus p plus 8x plus 3 is equal to 0. So that will be the equation. Now the other question said, having found the equation like that, okay, let me now we answer the second part of this question. The second part said, find the values of p for which f of x is equal to 0. So f of x is equal to 0. We want to find the values of p for which that is equal to 0. Now that is simply talking about the nature of roots. Okay, so we want to find the values for which f of x is going to be equal to 0, the values of p. So we get our equation, that is f of x is equal to 3x squared minus p minus 4 x minus 2p plus 1. So we are saying this should be equal to 0. So what we are saying is the 3x squared minus p minus 4 x minus 2p plus 1 should be equal to 0. Now the question is, find the values of p for which this is going to be equal to 0. Okay, so let's try to solve this equation. We see what is going to happen. So I want to make sure that, okay, b squared minus 4ac should be equal to 0. So we are simply talking about the discriminant in this case inside the root here. If these two, after subtracting, they give us a 0 there. So that is what we are talking about. Okay, so our b is this part, which is negative p minus 4. We are squaring that. We are saying minus 4. Our a is 3, and then our c is negative 2p plus 1. That should give us 0. So what we are solving for here is, now if we square this part, this squared is going to cancel with that, this negative is going to cancel with the square. So what we are going to remain with is p minus 4 squared, then minus 4 open brackets. We have got a negative here, so 3 by this negative, it will be negative 3, and then that negative 3 which is here multiplied by this negative 4, it will be positive 12. So let me just write that positive 12. Then we are multiplying with what is inside, that is the 2p plus 1 should be equal to 0. Okay, so that is going to give us p squared minus 8p plus 16 plus 24p plus 12 is equal to 0. So if we subtract, this will give us p squared. This and these are like them, so 24 minus 8, that is giving 16p, then 16 plus 12, that is giving me 28, and it should be equal to 0. So if we solve for p, what is the product and sum here? What two numbers can give us 16 and give us 28? It is 2 and 14. So p squared plus 2p plus 14p plus 28 is equal to 0. So p open bracket p plus 2 plus, then factorize also 14 here, p plus 2 is equal to 0. So this gives us p plus 14 and then p plus 2 being equal to 0. So that will be p is equal to negative 14 or p is equal to negative 2. So we have got the values of p for which the function is going to be equal to 0. So when they are talking about the function being equal to 0 is when you solve this function is like this. So you have got two values of x there, so where our y is 0. Okay, so we end here on this video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope it was helpful.